Every time we show up somewhere, whoever is the point of contact will go straight to one of the guys in the band. They'll walk right past me, or they won't even think I'm in the band. They'll just be like, oh, it's probably a girlfriend.
Not that they're like, oh, like, I don't want to, like, address her because she's a woman. I'm just completely, like, invisible. Like, they wouldn't even consider that I'm, like, part of the situation.
Mm-hmm. I just get this general feeling that, like, I have to, like, put myself in a box in order for that to be, like, desired by people or by the listener.
10-year-old me would think I was so cool.
Okay. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome. Can you go around, say your name, what band you're in if you're in a band, and then what you play in that band? We'll start with Kate.
Fabulous. Okay, we're leaving. Hi, I'm Kate Armstrong. I suppose I'm a solo artist in SLO. I previously was in a band called Purple Hibiscus in town, but yeah, it's just been the last couple years, and it's just been a world of me kind of exploring my songwriting and exploring what that looks like to enter the SLO music scene as an individual and just test out different gigs and meet people. So it's been a blast so far. Lots of learning.
My name's Caitlyn. I am the lead singer of Earthship, and we've been a band for like almost 2 years now.
My name is Skyllar Evans. I am the lead singer for Plywood Love. We've been a band for almost 3 years now. It's been a while. But yeah, just been around SLO mostly.
I'm Tasha Lee. I play bass in Couch Dog. We've been together 3 years with our current lineup.
Slay.
Yes.
And now I wanted to ask you guys, do any of you guys know each other?
Yeah, I like know all of you guys.
Yeah.
I feel like we've all
Definitely.
played together at least once before, probably more than that.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like there's a connection between women in the SLO music scene?
I feel like if somebody else is in a band and they are also a woman, it's like, oh yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
Or like there's automatically something there, I guess you could say, usually, yes.
Yeah, like immediate camaraderie. I feel like when I like get to know a new band, like if there's a girl in that band, like she immediately becomes my point of contact. Like if I'm talking to the Sandspits, I'm talking to Abby, or like or like if I'm talking to June, I'm talking to Mia. Like I don't know, there's just kind of like a built-in connection.
Skyllar, you mentioned that they get it. So what do you mean by they get being a woman in the SLO music scene?
I mean, I feel like it's the same as when you see a woman in any other male-dominated space anywhere else in the world. It's someone else who understands not only things that you could have gone through in the past, but also what you're going through in those present moments, and can view, like, I guess, hardships or problems that need to be solved with somewhat of, like, a similar viewpoint, I guess you could say.
Kind of stemming from that, have there been any like experiences that you've been grateful to have, kind of this network of women to support you through, or anything like that in the scene?
I think just the nature of feeling less alone and knowing, like Skyllar was saying, that you just have that like similarity and that understanding, because it's intimidating to navigate a space where like there's a lot of masculine energy and you're kind of forced to be in this position of a minority identity, and you have to like kind of put that on your shoulders but not want to like make it a thing. Also, you just want to do what you love. So I think I'm just grateful for like knowing that like other women are taking up space in the same way and like can just understand that. So
Have there been like any moments, because most of you are in kind of male heavy bands, I guess you could say. Have there been any moments that you felt like you've been treated differently than kind of your counterparts, or just like other male solo artists in the scene?
Yeah, absolutely. More. I don't know about you guys specifically, but for my band, I do majority, if not all, of the booking, any kind of speaking to people like through Instagram accounts or the email. It's all me. I manage all of that. And pretty much every time we show up to a show, even if I'm the one that's put it together and like I've introduced myself over email or anything, I've just stopped doing that because I've every time we show up somewhere, whoever is the point of contact will go straight to one of the guys in the band. They'll walk right past me, or they won't even think I'm in the band. They'll just be like, oh, it's probably a girlfriend. And I've had people say that, like, oh, you're like, what, dating the bass player? I'm like, no, I'm in it. And so I guess that's the most common occurrence for me. It's just like people jumping the gun and jumping straight to my male counterparts in the band instead of thinking twice and realizing that I am also there. But
that's kind of the most common thing that I think happens. Like you show up to the function and the sound guy or the security or like whoever from the other band comes up, shakes all 3 of my other band members' hands, looks them in the eye, is like, you guys excited for tonight? And like a lot of the time people don't even make eye contact with me. I'm just like, not that they're like, oh, like I don't want to like address her because she's a woman. I'm just completely like invisible. Like they wouldn't even consider that I'm like part of the situation, part of the band. Like I'm just like somebody's tag along, like you said, probably girlfriend or like whatever. But like it makes me like super mad that people don't make eye contact with me. It's just like a really big level of disrespect.
No, exactly.
And it happens all the time.
Well, that and just like the blatant like just assumption that you could not have been speaking to a woman this whole time who's like put together all this stuff. And like I've had that happen organizing shows just in general, even that we're not playing, where it's like, oh no way, like you put this all together? It's like, yeah.
I'm kind of extremely capable.
Cool,
Wow.
So I'd say that's definitely probably just the biggest thing off the bat, but I don't know if you guys have experienced similar.
Yeah, I mean, me and Lauren run everything. We do all the booking and the email and everything. And it's just funny because, like, upon even just, like, getting a, like, message, it's always just, like, hey, boys, like, that's happened to us all the time. It's, like you could have just, like, looked at our photos. Like, there's at least 2 people that aren't boys here. And then, obviously, like, showing up somewhere, it's, like, immediately. I've been, like, refused to let in or like, been refused to be let in at places and been like, oh, like, we can't, or like into like a green room or something.
Yeah, and it's like, no, I'm literally in.
Yeah, or like no significant others allowed, and it's like
literally.
Yeah,
or like at the like a lot of venues will like give a bar tab to bands, and like I've just been like completely refused or been like, oh sorry, like band tab isn't for girlfriends, like 3 times like in a row, and I'm like, I swear guys, like. I swear, I'm in the band. We're just like playing next, but yeah, it's just very interesting. The people like apologized after that we performed, and they're like, "Oh, sorry."
But the fact that they like need that proof that they just like are so certain that you're not in the band is like.
No, exactly.
It's believe you.
Yeah, literally.
Could do that.
Yeah. No, the same thing. Like literally last week at we played the Battle of the Bands at the Fremont. And I had, like, the dang wristband and everything. And the security guard was like, no. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Yes. Like, let me through, please. Like, my whole band is backstage. And he was like, looked me up and down, like, 4 times. And then he was like, fine. And then, like, 5 minutes later, I was on stage. And it was like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, not everyone's lying about it. But at the same time, it's in situations like that where it's like I'm literally have my hands are X'd. Yeah. I have all the stamps that I could need, and you're
singing. For
you? Literally. It's like, do I need to pull out the Instagram? Like, But
going back to something that Skyllar said about this assumption of being a girlfriend, and a few others of you mentioned the whole girlfriend thing. I was going to ask you, I've noticed on especially TikTok, there's been this resurgence of this idea of the rock star girlfriend GF, and I noticed that the top edits where you see a lot of people engaging with them are ones where it's Victoria from the band Måneskin, who is an incredible musician, or funny enough, a lot of them are Taylor Swift, and I was like, she definitely is like the commercial rock star right now. But I see that she's being edited in a way of like, oh, she's the rock star girlfriend. And I notice in the comments, I see a lot of people closer to our age being like, they actually are the rock stars. But I see younger girls that are kind of still romanticizing that whole almost famous idea, like really engaging with that. And I wanted to know your guys' thoughts on that whole resurgence and if you think that it's harmful for younger girls.
I feel like defining yourself by an aesthetic that's like based on your proximity to a man or like what you are to a man is probably not good for young minds.
Don't do that. Boo. That's
Like,
what to say.
yeah, that can exist. Your boyfriend can be in a band or whatever, but I feel like just kind of defining yourself under that title is very like, it's about the man in that situation. It's not like about what you bring to the table or anything. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, recently something that I focused on a lot, like for myself and for situations like this, totally love it. Like, I am a female musician, but at the same time too, like telling people like I am also just a musician. Like, there doesn't need to be that like female or girlfriend in front of that. Like, I am also the same as anybody else in this space, just making music, just doing what I love to do. And so I feel like assigning, like you said, like, sorry,
all good.
any kind of like identity that has to do with anybody else to how you present yourself isn't a good idea. And I'd say you shouldn't try to be the girlfriend, you should try to be the rock star.
You are the rock star.
Yeah, exactly.
That's definitely something I think about a lot just in terms of navigating the space, because on one hand, you like need to own that like identity of being a woman in music and the slow music scene when you're one of few, but at the same time, you just want to be able to like do your thing and like not have to be represented in that way. But I think how I end up resting in it is like we already are like the activism by just showing up and by like being the people. And I think to your question, Sydney, that just makes me feel like, you know, there just needs to be that representation of like women taking up space in that way, because like, you know, you're going to see the male rock star over and over and over again. We know all the examples of it. We see it everywhere. So it's like, in order to normalize, like, you know, being a female rock star, it's like you have to have that model for people to see that, to then think that they can do it, and then to go do it themselves. Like, it's just a product of like the lack of representation that really causes that trickle down effect, which frustrates the hell out of me. But
Yeah.
How do you guys all feel when you're making music?
Silence. Nothing.
Yeah.
We
don't care about it. Yeah.
actually don't have emotions.
I don't know. From my perspective, I wouldn't classify myself as being able to play an instrument. I feel content about it, but it's like I do know that sometimes I have to take a step back when it's like I can't come up with the entire song, but like I'm happy to contribute, or like that I'm grateful to be part of it, I guess. I don't know.
I understand how you feel. Like, and being a vocalist in a band, I play guitar, and I write music like myself that I will sometimes bring to the band or just keep to myself. And being in sessions where you don't have an instrument or you don't play an instrument and it's just you vocally, it's definitely a lot different of a process. And it can be more challenging to convey like how you want something to sound or emotionally how you want something to feel in that sense when you can't like physically play the instrument as well. But it's where you kind of have to lean on like your people and stuff like that in your band.
I love songwriting. It's definitely my mode of expression. Just to be able to like formulate whatever is happening in your head into music is a really special experience. So I would say to that nature, for me, it's interesting being a solo artist because I don't really collaborate with anybody on that process. And so sometimes it can be just like such a spiral of wondering like, or trying not to let like the influence of other people like get into that process, because I think that's really where the best art comes from, is just letting it be like a product of your humanness and who you are and whatever you're experiencing. But it's hard to not let that pressure in. But when I'm able to kind of let that go, then I really can make my best music, which is the freeing part for sure.
Yeah, I just love making music. I definitely, as like just an instrumentalist, up until this point, I haven't written any of the like Couch Dog songs that are out. I kind of love the process of like getting something that's just like bones and being able to add like the meat and the skin to it. Like, it's just cool to see, our main songwriter like just present us with kind of chords and lyrics and then just see it like built off of that is really fun. I love being a part of that. I kind of like having my like designated instrument because I've gotten to know it so well and like just like really have my style with writing those parts. Recently I like wrote my first song. So that was really fun. And I brought it to everybody. I was like kind of scared because it was like not our usual vibe and it's like low-key sad. And I was like, guys, I wrote this, like, what do you think? And they really liked it. And we're like developing it in full, which has been really fun because I'm used to kind of like sitting back and just doing the bass, but getting to see like something I wrote and like have the other people add all the like meat to it has been really like eye-opening. And it's like, it's a whole different thing. Like it's really, really cool to kind of have like watch that process around like your own creation. So yeah.
Can I ask a question about
Yes.
that? And to all of you, because obviously you all collaborate, but what is that like to kind of have your stories take up space in the like midst of a band of all men?
It's definitely, I've been lucky enough. I feel like 99% of men that I've encountered that are in bands in the slow music scene at least have all been like incredibly amazing. And mine specifically, they're 4 of my very best friends and they support me and they understand where I'm coming from. So luckily it's more of a safe space for me to really talk about it and for them to be like, man, that's not cool. And they get it. Like, and having that female perspective to kind of turn around and look at them and tell them like, no, this is why we feel this way and stuff like that, I feel like has also kind of benefited them as well and allowed us to kind of work together on some of those issues. But I don't really feel like it like stops the creative process in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it just kind of makes it better. But
That's awesome.
Yeah.
From your perspective, so you're just saying like you brought your first song, which is so awesome. But in other cases, like, do you feel like your perspective like doesn't get to see as much light as you would want to, like your stories and like your thoughts and ideas, just because you're the only woman in the band?
I guess not. I'm not like unhappy with like not having any of my stories in there, but a lot of our songs are like about love from a male perspective because they're written about love from a male perspective, which is like something I guess I like don't and like can't understand. So it does feel good to like have one of my own. And also like, I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but I feel like almost with like instrumentation, it goes a little bit differently when you're like writing to like a traditionally like female voice. Like I've noticed with this song, like there's just kind of different like sound palettes happening almost. And that's been interesting, but like, yeah, it does feel good to like have something of my own out there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Tosh, I'd love you to go deeper into what you mean by the difference between a love song written by a man and a love song written by a woman.
I guess, yeah, mine's not like a love song. It's more just about like, you know, personal experience, like just with like life and like feeling down and stuff. So I haven't ever written a love song, but like, most of our songs are of that nature. And they're like awesome. I love them. I love the lyrics. Max is great at lyrics, but like, I don't often feel like there's something that I can relate to just like with my experience and like, you know, dating and like living around here and stuff. So it's just kind of different for me to like, it's like definitely a story that I don't relate to personally lyric wise. Like the music I can totally get into and stuff, but like, yeah, it's kind of separate.
Yeah, I was gonna say like firsthand experience because most of the music that I write is typically about love from a female perspective, and with a typically male audience and a band of all men at the same time too. Like I have written things and like sang them and they've been like, what? You know, or they just like they get it and they're like, I can tell that they want to understand it and stuff, but I'm like, the metaphors that I'll use sometimes or things like that, my comparisons, I have like almost felt sometimes like I can be too quote unquote like emotional with it, when in reality they're trying to keep things more surface level, you know, with songs, and trying to get past that personally of being like, it's okay to be emotional with like, and it's not embarrassing, I guess you could say, to write about it that way. And it's actually better to like, I guess, go into those deeper perspectives from the female perspective about love specifically as well, and for them to understand it. But just like getting past the point of, I guess, being nervous that you're being too emotional was a hard one for me, and still kind of can be. Because I've also done solo stuff. Like, I know how that feels, where you, like, write something alone in your room, and then you're like, God, I love this. And then you go to play it for someone, you read the lyrics again, you're like, maybe not. Like, and
I don't want to tell you that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. It's interesting finding, like, the balance between, like, wanting to actually write about things that you feel and that are real, and then you, like, have to do it at a house show, and you're like, literally, I'm not sure that everybody has to know all this stuff. Like, why did I put that there? But usually people can't ever tell what I'm saying anyway, so it's fine.
That's what I just tell myself too. I know, and it's like, this is a sweet little treat for whoever wants to read the lyrics on Spotify. And if you want to talk about it, DM me. But it's like, for those of you that are listening at the house show, you probably don't know what I'm saying, and that's fine.
It's perfect.
I love that. Cool.
Yeah.
Kate, can I ask you, obviously you don't have, like, you know, kind of male band members or band members to, I guess, have to also relate to what you're putting out. Do you feel a similar kind of pressure, though, from kind of an audience, you know, or producers or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say mostly my anxiety stems from kind of anticipating, like, what the slow music scene and just, like, music scene in general is going to take from what I want to share, because I'm very much so in the vein of, like, okay, I'm going to do the vulnerability thing. I'm going to, like, sing about the thing that, like, I really don't want to talk about or, like, even admit to myself, but, like, it's a way for me to get it out. And I just end up doing a lot of mental gymnastics about, like, oh, like, how is this person going to, like, perceive this? Are they going to think it's about this? Or, like, I just get this general feeling that, like, I have to, like, put myself in a box in order for that to be, like, desired by people or by the listener. And it's just, like, such a back and forth of, like, leaning into that and being like, why am I feeling that way? Like, why do I really care that much about, like, how people are perceiving my art? But also, like, knowing that, like, I don't have to change it for anybody because it's, like, my expression. And, like, generally when I do share those songs, those are the ones that people relate to the most. So it's like, okay, I'm going to keep doing it.
So there's a long history with women in music, this both consensual and non-consensual link to sexuality when we're talking about music. And I was wondering how you guys choose to address that in your own art. Do you choose, like, sexuality doesn't have a place in my art, I don't want to be associated with that even though people try to put that on me, or actually this is, like, a playground for my sexuality and I want to explore that in my art when I make it or when I'm on stage?
Oh, yeah.
I lean into, like, the femininity and the sexuality of it, especially with things that I wear. Like, I find typically that when we're playing shows and stuff like that, I like to lean more into, like, the more scantily clad outfits and stuff like that, because for me it's fun, and when I'm on stage nobody can touch me. Like, it's like that is just I am up there and it's just me and my band, and it's a space for me to express what I'm feeling and to wear what I want. And people cannot really look at you and be like, no, you know, because it sucks to suck. Like, it's going to happen anyways. Yeah, exactly. It's like, here I am, take it or leave it. This is what I wanted to wear, and this is how I wanted to, like, decided how I wanted to walk out the door today. But at the same time, too, like, it's kind of walking the line of, oh, you're a woman, you can kind of play off, like, the sexuality of things and stuff like that to get more people to view your music and to view you and everything. And I've heard the comments have been like, oh, well, it's a girl in the band, like, of course people like them because there's something to look at and stuff like that. And so it is kind of hard to, like, write the line, I guess, but I do tend to include it more in my lyrics and in my expression because it is something that, in my opinion, should be touched on and embraced fully.
I feel a similar way. Like, I love, you know, wearing my, like, outfits, putting my whole thing together, and like, I love makeup, I love skirts, I love my big shoes, and, like, just, like, making a statement with my outfit. But I, at the same time, sometimes feel insecure about it up on stage because I'm like, people are gonna look and they're gonna see my bandmates in like, you know, they got cool outfits on, but it's like for men typically it's like maybe just like wider jeans and a t-shirt. My whole like shit right now.
And everyone's like, oh my god, they're so hot, and they're wearing
the whole fit is just shirt pants.
But it's like a slightly different version of shirt pants that's like somehow like indie.
No,
maybe a belt.
A belt.
Nice
and
belt.
corduroy pants. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And the docs.
But yeah, I just feel like I don't know if I'm making this up in my own head, but I'm like, oh, people are gonna be like, she like wants attention by wearing that, or like, why she's so dressed up for? Like, you don't need to be doing. What song do they have where you need to do all of that? Like, that kind of stuff. And I also like, I don't honestly get many like comments during shows, but like every once in a while, like this is especially with older men, so it's kind of gross. I'll be like talking to somebody like at work. There's a customer and like the band comes up and they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I play bass in it." And they're like, "Oh, like a girl that plays bass, like that's hot." And I'm like, and so those comments like come up to me sometimes when I'm on stage and I like feel cute or whatever, and that like makes me feel kind of like gross in my skin, even though I like do feel like confident with my outfit or whatever. Like I'm just reminded of those instances and I'm like, I hope people don't think this is for them, because it's not.
Literally.
You know?
I mean, I haven't performed in a band in a while, but I get up on stage every once and again. I love to dance and I love to move my body. I love to be in my body and do the thing, but it's just funny how people take that as like an inherently sexualized thing. I'm like, so what? Like, I feel free doing this. That doesn't mean you get to like look at me or like make a comment. It's like, I'm just trying to like be myself, and it's just not the same standard it feels like for men.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I have a great example. So, referring again to the Battle of the Bands this last week, we did a bit on stage where my bass player, who is a male, stripped down and tore off his pants to only a Speedo. And if, like, he did it, great. Everybody freaking loved it. It was awesome. And it was hilarious. Now, let's say I did that. Like, if I got on the stage and did the whole tearaway pants to a swimsuit, because he was wearing a Speedo. So, like, not naked, but just to a swimsuit, you know, it would be a whole lot different if I had done that. There'd probably be some pretty lewd photos going around of me. There'd probably be some headlines. There would probably have been some distasteful comments from some people, you know what I mean? And so it just speaks to that, like, not that we're necessarily held to a different standard, but just what people expect from us is a lot different. And when I lean more into that sexuality and that like femininity with what I choose to wear on the stage and stuff, and how I choose to act and choose to dance and present myself to people, it's perceived a lot differently than it is if I were a man to do the same thing.
Before you were saying someone said something about like, oh, there's a girl in the band, there's something to look at. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, it's same thing. Like, older men really suck, man.
It is
like
the older generation.
It's the older
usually.
generation that really clap down, and I have to look at and be like,
They've just never seen one of those before.
no, literally, they're like, a woman,
A girl?
These are the same guys that are like the security at concerts or like the sound guys. There's like definitely a generation, and they're just worse. Like
they're so much worse. Yeah, exactly. It's
They
like,
also like know more about your instrument than you do.
literally.
For some reason, they just like happen to know more about it. That's crazy.
Like, you're holding the microphone wrong.
No, multiple. Yeah.
I'll hit you in the head. Like, but it's typically, I will say it is typically men who are either under the influence of alcohol or who are older who have made comments and said like, oh, well, I had something to look at on stage, referring to me. Or, you know, you guys are a lot better because like she's beautiful and stuff like that. Nothing to do with my singing ability or my musical ability, just simply my physical appearance. And thankfully I haven't really dealt with people trying to touch me or anything like that, which is good. You should not have to deal with that. Just the comments, which again, you shouldn't have to deal with. But yeah, it's typically men under the influence or older men. But
Not to like zoom out and take us into a different direction, but I'm curious just because when I'm hearing all this, I'm just like, okay, patriarchy is like so real and so everywhere. Like, how do y'all like hold that and like, do you feel like a responsibility as a woman to push back against it? And if so, like, how do you do that? Because it's kind of intimidating to like hold that as a minority identity, like being a woman, in my experience. But
yeah, I think just like being loud and like being comfortable to take up that space is like my way to push back on it, because it's hard to like, you know, societal change like isn't gonna happen at this level, unfortunately. So like I always just try to assert myself in those situations. Like, you know, when somebody's introducing themselves to all my band members ignore me, I will like stick my hand right out and I'll be like, I'm Tasha.
mm-hmm.
I'll give them a firm ass handshake so they know I'm like serious. Like I just like it is sad that I feel like I have to do extra to like insert myself to like be considered as a part of that group, but I think that's just what you have to do. And like hopefully if the people who are ignoring you, who are like writing you off, if that happens to them enough, hopefully they'll kind of get it in their head to not make assumptions or like not have that bias from the get-go. So just being like, honestly, sometimes I try to like introduce myself first so we don't even get to that point. Just like walk straight up to the other band and be like, I'm Tasha, I was talking with you on Instagram, like, you know, I'm from Couch Dog, like just to get that out of the way, and just be like almost aggressive with it. I don't know if assertive is even the word. Sometimes you have to be aggressive.
No,
Yeah,
true.
for real.
Yeah.
I'd say just like you said, just unapologetically taking up that space. Like, I am here because I'm supposed to be and because I want to be, and you're going to deal with it whether you like it or not. And like you said, being assertive in that space and just being very loud and proud. Not necessarily like you said, it's hard to like walk the line of like being aggressive, like I am a woman in this space, while also like just balancing your own personal, like just I'm wanting to share music, like I'm just a musician.
Yeah.
But recognizing that it is there and holding yourself to that standard, you know, is really important.
I think it's really hard for me because I just like think about it a lot. I also studied sociology, so I like studied all the systems and like how messed up they are, and so I just get really angry about it, and I don't feel like I always have like the appropriate outlet for that. Just because in a lot of ways, like I do try to just like show up and not hold my tongue, but like, you know, you don't want to like cause chaos for no reason or like burn any bridges or anything. So it's definitely a balance of like knowing when the right times to speak up are versus like just going with it. And I think just let me take a moment to like clap for all the women in music, because it takes a lot of resistance to like, you know, be in that space of discomfort. But I think things like this just are really empowering because you can like actually hear one another's stories and like have space for that versus like not really having an opportunity to like hear the nuance of like all of these challenges.
Yeah, I'd say from my experience, I mean, I have Lauren, who is also in my band, so we are able to kind of relate to each other in that way, and it's like really nice to have her also in there and just be like, oh my God, those guys just didn't even look at us. The like other band, the guys in the other band just walked right past us, went to Spencer and Eli and, you know, introduced themselves or whatever, but we're both like, okay, we're here. We are a part of the band. Like, we are just as much like a part of Earthship as Spencer and Eli are. Mm-hmm. And we have to get up there anyway, so we might as well like embrace it and do it right instead of like being scared or like trying to be small in a place where people are there to see you, whether they care about you or like know that you were in the band.
I think we've talked a lot about being unapologetic. And for me, as a woman who has to be in a lot of professional spaces related to journalism, I've had moments in my life where I've been like, I just was unapologetic and I just acted like a man. Like, that's what it feels like to just be free. And like, I think to myself, I'm like, God, like 10-year-old me would think I was so cool for what I just did. Like, do you guys have moments like that you remember where you were like, God, I was just unapologetic and that was so cool and I'm so proud of myself?
I guess just like every show,
Yeah,
I feel like that to a degree. Just like getting up there and making it happen and just like, you know, playing my music just to show people. And like, it's that just feels really powerful. Like, I guess just being on stage does probably for everybody, but like, you know, if I think about it from like a feminism perspective or like the perspective of like me being the gender that I am, it just like, you know, feels good that I'm just up there and doing that and like don't care what people think.
I've thought about this a lot. Like, young me, little me, if she could see me now, like, would she be stoked, or how would she feel about it? And I think a lot about like trying to make that younger version of me proud too, that young singer-songwriter who like just wanted to be Taylor Swift, you know? And so it's definitely just anytime you get on the stage is empowering. And anytime you exist in this space as a woman, identifying as a woman, it is empowering. And I feel like just carrying yourself that way is important, and just knowing that like you are important as well.
I also feel like it's really special, at least in my experience, like after shows and stuff, to have other women come up and be like, it's so cool to see a girl leading your band. Like, it's so awesome. It's so cool to see a girl drummer. Like, it is so awesome. And just to like know that other people could possibly be impacted by just the fact that I am standing up there and like doing something as a woman is like, I don't know, that is special to me, even if they don't like the way that I sound. It's like, okay, whatever.
That's been
cool.
like the one thing that I didn't think that would happen. And then like after the first couple of shows, like women approaching me afterwards, like at a house show, and being like, dang, like that was cool. I really look up to you for doing that. And I didn't even realize that like that was going to happen, you know?
Yeah.
And being able to embrace that moving forward and just being like, heck yeah, I'm here. You guys should do it too, please.
Yeah,
like
it's
Yeah, it's really funny when they're like, it's so cool to see a girl as a frontman. It's like,
yeah.
frontman.
I know, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Question mark?
I guess. It's awesome.
High five.
Do you guys have like specific women, front women, whatever, that you've looked up to as you've gone along this journey?
Maggie Rogers, love her.
Shout out. My best friend.
Honestly.
Haley Williams from a she's iconic.
I get
love
that from
queen.
you,
Oh,
like,
thank you.
I see that energy.
That's my favorite one. Yes.
Wow. That makes so much sense.
Oh, thank you. But no, I remember my dad showed me her, Paramore, when I was very young. I was in like, I say very young, I was probably like middle school. He was like, you're ready for real music. And he put me onto some Paramore, some older Paramore, when they were doing Warped Tour and stuff like that. And I remember watching, like, sitting at my parents' computer during computer time, watching Haley Williams, like, play Warped Tour shows, and just being like, that's what I want. Like, she is so cool. And from my dad, too, like, your dad telling you, like, this is a woman, and she's awesome. You should look up to her. Yeah. And having him set that example of, like, not men, look at her, and look at what she has done, was definitely very cool. And she's a huge inspiration for me, even to this day, honestly. She's very cool.
So sweet.
Yeah, I got Pearl Jam. I didn't get Haley Williams.
Eddie better though. That band.
Let's go.
For me, when I like started picking up bass, I like went on the family iPad. I was like, girl bassist. And I found out about Pixies and Kim Deal, and she's just kind of one of the most like prolific like female bassists out there, and she was just so cool, like because she does like backing vocals, and she was just such like a like understated but like strong presence in their band. Like for me, Pixies is like about her, and I think for a lot of people it is. So that was big. And then there's a band called The Regrets.
Yes.
I was really into like early high school.
Dude, me
I found a
too.
YouTube video and I saw 3 women in the front. It was like Lydia and their bassist and their guitarist, and I was like, that is immediately cooler than anything live performance I've seen, because they're like in front. They had like a choreographed dance, and I was like, they're just like so cool. Like I can't even fathom it. Like I want to like be that. They were sick. Yeah.
Anecdote. And when I was in high school, I grew up here, and at the Fremont, it was the Frights. Like one of my first like real shows I went to was the Frights, and the Regrets opened for them.
That's cool.
And I remember the Regrets played, and I had never heard of them, and I was so in awe. And I have a photo of like 7th grade me with the Regrets in front of the Fremont because I was like so enamored by them. But yeah.
I was there too.
Really?
I grew up here.
Yes. I didn't think of the Regrets, but that's a good one. Such a good one.
You're making me think back to your question too about the confidence thing. Like, I feel like with all your stories of like hearing your early inspiration, like there's such a magic in like allowing that to grow and develop. And when I think about just like the difference between a woman stepping into that and a man stepping into that, I'm just like, really, why is there like so many more men in music when like we have these dreams growing up that are like so exciting to look up to these artists and being like, I want to be that person. Like, I just want more women to like carry that forward. I'm like, and I think that's why it's so cool for us to all, you know, be in this position where we can like be that person, and then hopefully like people don't have to let go of their dreams, but like those inspirations, they mean all the difference because they actually like show you the path to doing the thing you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Music is unique in that sense because for me, I've done a lot of thinking about it, like why there are fewer women than men in this field and like that are famous. And when we have those examples, like I can, like it's not like a field where there's no women, you know what I mean? Like there are women that are in bands. There's all female bands. There's, I mean, Taylor Swift, for God's sakes, you know what I mean? There are women for people to look up to, and still we see this decline or like lesser amount of women in music. And I've like racked my brain trying to understand why, and I just don't really get it either. But yeah,
like where does the
like
dream
where
die?
does I know? Yeah, like what happened, you guys?
Like pick up a bass.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do it, please.
I also want to mention Heart, that band.
Yeah.
Heart is lit.
Heart is
Ann and Nancy. Yeah.
Skylar, do you think there's something specific about this community that doesn't foster strong female musicians like in a higher population?
I feel like, at least for me, where the whole music thing started was public education. And I was lucky enough to have parents that put me in choir and stuff like that. But like in school, everybody has equal opportunity to learn about it. And typically, I guess from what I had seen, men were the ones that were more encouraged to continue into jazz band and those things that were electives, whereas women were like, oh, let's do home ec. And so I feel like it's those early decisions that are sometimes based on gender roles, like typical gender roles, that push women out of the space and invite more men into it. But it's also just like an environment. Like I don't think that the slow music scene doesn't foster an environment where women can succeed, because all of us here are direct examples that that's not true. But and it's not like it's not an environment where it's unhealthy, you know, and it's impossible for women to survive. But it's about, once you've gotten to this age, already kind of, I guess, like knowing that this is what you want to do. So I guess encouraging the people that are younger to kind of start then and take over as they grow older is my answer to it. But
I think it's not like, this isn't the case everywhere, but I feel like a lot of the women in music I know have had a really supportive adult in their life, like their mother or father, or maybe like a music teacher that's really like pushed them to pursue that. And I feel like that's super valuable for a lot of people, because a lot of people our parents' age are very stuck in the like gender roles kind of thing and might not have like pushed their child or daughter in that direction. But I think like in a lot of cases, having a parent who's like willing to let you pursue that and wants you to pursue that and like encourage you is really helpful. Yeah, both my parents were very like, you know, supportive of the whole music thing. So I'm really thankful to them for that.
Yeah, the mentorship piece is huge. I actually recently joined this local group called the Feminine Songwriters Collective. And it's so cool because it's like all these different generations of women who are involved in music and songwriting. And like, it's just wild when you get people in a room together sharing ideas. It's like those little opportunities mean so much. And so just to have like somebody older, like you're saying, Tasha, like to kind of like give you that push and empower you, like that could be the difference between you going for it or not. So it's like to have people looking out for you, like I want to be somebody like that for somebody who's starting up younger too. So it's like, how do we do that?
What was the first piece of music that you all like downloaded or bought or whatever?
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of a hard one.
Like personally?
Yeah, like you, not like, you know, your dad gave it to you or something like that.
iPod shuffle stuff.
I know.
I
MP3.
Or that you remember, you know.
I don't know if I've ever like bought music.
Oh, I was
Like,
saving up my money, girl. I bought
the iTunes gift card.
Yes,
Come on.
dude. Oh, I had a shuffle, like one of those ones that you clipped on to things.
Yeah. Those were sick.
And
Exactly.
I still have it. It's on my wall, and it's red, and it's engraved on the back. It says Skyllar's Music Maker. And shout out my mom, Megan, best gift ever. But yeah, I grew up on. They've changed their name. They used to be the Dixie Chicks. Now it's just the Chicks.
I was gonna say
that was like iconic 2000s. You know, like all women, and my mom and I love the Chicks, and that was like one of the first things my mom brought me up on, the Chicks and Bob Marley, like weird combination.
Your iPod shuffle mention has me remembering I had one of those. I never bought music myself, but I'd give my dad like a list of what I wanted, and he would buy it online for mysteriously cheap and then put it on there. Shout out Stuart.
Yes.
But I just remember like the first stuff I had on there was like Ali and AJ. Do you guys?
Yes.
What do we know about Ali and AJ? They were so cool.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of those songs.
A lot of Britney Spears.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom would like burn CDs. I have 2 older siblings, and we'd each get one, and the car like could play multiple or like hold multiple CDs at once, and so we'd like switch off between who gets what, and everyone would tell her a list of songs, and mine was just Britney Spears or Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I remember walking into Best Buy and getting my first CD. It was Miley Cyrus.
Dude, yes.
And I brought it home and I just like listened to it on repeat. I ended up doing one of the songs in the talent show. I know. I was like little second grader just singing Miley Cyrus on the stage. So fun.
What song was it? Do you remember?
I was gonna say, please tell you remember, because I know my first talent show song, and that's so funny.
Do you remember what it is?
I Hope You Dance. That was,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Classic.
That was my first
That's
talent in the
crazy.
first grade, and there's a video of me. It's a scary video, but it's out there somewhere.
Oh yeah.
I have to know yours though. It was Miley Cyrus too. That's epic.
It was. I can't remember what it was called. It was like da, na, 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 na. Oh wait, that's Painted Black, but it sounds like that. It sounds like that.
What's that? Sorry. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it sounds
I think I know which one.
That last time I freaked out. I was just looking down.
That's just a Saturday, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Shut up. Oh my god. Yeah, I know that.
Oh, See You Again.
Yeah.
I
That's
can't
like the best
wait
one.
to see you again. Oh, that's epic.
One more. So I'd love it if everyone kind of scooted in and just kind of, let's all look at each other for a second.
Intimate.
Let's be a little intimate.
Eye contact.
Who do you guys see in front of you right now?
Really
Bodies?
strong
Beautiful.
people.
Amazing women. Talented women, that's
Women.
for sure.
Articulate. I was like
Oh yeah.
really
well
like,
spoken. Everyone's very
everybody was
well-spoken.
super well spoken today and like really, really articulate. I feel like you guys are all such good speakers.
But yeah, I guess words of encouragement to anybody out there listening who may be a woman, whether you're in San Luis Obispo or not, whether you're already in a band or not, just play some dang music. Put it out there. Play a show. Get involved. Do whatever it is that you want to do. Don't feel like you can't because you are a woman. And dream big, like you were saying. Encourage your friends. Be encouraged by other people. And just have fun with it.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah, don't be
People
afraid.
are scary. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, loud and proud. And if you need like advice or anything, like
Oh, yeah.
not to like overstep, but I feel like you could reach out to any of us. Like I love when people come to me with like advice
too.
questions or like, hey, I'm a girl wanting to start a band. Like that's awesome. If you need like resources or just like older sister vibes, like I
Absolutely.
feel like all of us would be
Yeah.
good people to do so.
So true.
That is so heartwarming. I love this.
This is really good to end on.
Yeah.
Okay, we wrapped. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys.
Thank you for having